Good morning, America. For our viewers in the West, showdown with Iran intensifies. Karen Reed walks free in 50 years of Jaws. We're going to need a bigger show. No sign of backing down. This morning, a massive barrage of Iranian missiles fired into Israel, blown out high-rise windows. A hospital in Israel taking a direct hit.
American diplomats evacuated. Ian Pannell on the scene.
Dozens of Iranian missiles fired into the heart of Israel's biggest city.
And overnight, the IDF strikes dozens of sites in Iran as President Trump prepares, approving attack plans for Iran. The U.S. military prepositions aircraft carriers and strike groups in the region. Now, the world waits on President Trump's final decision. Karen Reed acquitted. Her supporters cheered, what she said to them, and why her legal trouble may not be over.
Nearly 200,000 Ford vehicles recalled, and what it has to do with backseat safety.
Landmark Supreme Court ruling, what it means for medical care for trans minors across the country. The reaction this morning.
High gear, like gas prices are on the rise and how much they could go up. Plus, ways you can save, why the time of day and the weather matter when filling your tank.
Edge of the world rescue. A woman airlifted to safety 3 days after vanishing while camping. How she was found.
Ooh, we all know what this music means. Ginger is taking a deep dive into one of the biggest blockbusters of all time.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
As Jaws turns 50, we go behind the scenes with a glimpse from the legendary Steven Spielberg and how the movie almost sunk him.
Live from ABC News headquarters in New York City, it's Thursday. Good morning, America.
You get chills even when you hear the theme.
Oh, you heard it. I saw you clenched up.
No, really.
Whoa. Well, good morning, America. You know, Ginger is standing by on Martha's Vineyard. She had something special for the 50th anniversary of Jaws. There she is. We should have got her a hat. That's what we're missing. And of course, Ginger's going to bring us the severe weather that's putting more than 60 million Americans on alert.
And we're also commemorating Juneteenth this morning. Going to take a live look at Galveston, Texas, the birthplace of the end of slavery in this country more than 2 years after the Emancipation Proclamation.
That is coming up. We're going to begin with the showdown between the U.S. and Iran. President Trump has had meetings in the Situation Room for the past 2 days, weighing a decision on whether the U.S. forces will join Israel in attacking Iran's nuclear facilities. He says he has not made a final decision yet, but a source tells ABC News that the president is getting comfortable with the idea of taking out a key Iranian nuclear facility called Fordo, built 300 feet deep inside a mountain.
Because the president has approved an attack plan in the event he does decide to take military action. He has not, as you said, ruled out, well, a diplomatic solution. He hasn't ruled that out yet. We're going to have the latest from the ground in Israel, but our senior political correspondent, Rachel Scott, starts us off at the White House. Good morning to you, Rachel.
Robin, good morning to you. We know the president has been weighing his options, meeting with his national security team. This morning, sources do tell us that the president has approved attack plans for Iran, but has not decided whether to move forward with them. The world now awaiting his decision. This morning, the conflict between Israel and Iran raging on. Sources tell ABC News President Trump has approved attack plans for Iran, but has not decided whether to move forward with them.
I have ideas as to what to do, but I haven't made a final. I like to make the final decision 1 second before it's due, because things change. I mean, especially with war.
The U.S. military already pre-positioning aircraft carriers and strike groups in the region, and overnight evacuating American diplomats from Israel. The president has demanded Iran's unconditional surrender, but the regime's supreme leader sending a direct message to the White House, saying, quote, "The Iranian nation cannot be surrendered. We will not accept any kind of submission," adding the damage America would suffer if it makes a military intervention in this field would undoubtedly be irreparable. Still, for much of the day, the president held out the possibility that the U.S. might join Israel's war.
I may do it, I may not do it. I mean, nobody knows what I'm going to do. I can tell you this, that Iran's got a lot of trouble.
Sources say the president has been under pressure from Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to get more involved, as only the U.S. has the 30,000-pound bunker buster bomb capable of penetrating Iran's nuclear site buried deep underground. The president asked about concerns from some in his own party about U.S. involvement.
I don't want to fight either. I'm not looking to fight. But if it's a choice between fighting and them having a nuclear weapon, you have to do what you have to do.
The divide on display in this fiery exchange between Senator Ted Cruz and former Fox News host Tucker Carlson.
If you're calling for toppling in government, it's incumbent on you to know something about the country and to think through the consequences of that. And you haven't, and you don't. And I'm saying that's reckless.
Okay, you engage in reckless rhetoric with no facts.
Republicans like Cruz pushing for the White House to strike. Democrats warning against it.
We don't need to escalate in Iran. That doesn't make anyone in the Middle East safer, and it certainly doesn't make the United States any safer.
And there is a notable change in tone from the president. When I spoke to him over the phone this weekend, he told me there was no deadline for Iran to make a deal. Now he says it's very late for them to be talking, saying that he is losing patience, George.
Yeah, it's clear we're getting close. Okay, Rachel, thanks very much. Let's go to Ian Panley. Good morning, Ian.
Yeah, good morning, George. This is the Soroka Hospital. It took a direct hit from an Iranian missile this morning. You can see the front doors of this only trauma centre in the south of the country blown off, the bottom of the ground covered in glass, the facade of one of the crucial units entirely blown off. Israel trying to make account now of what happened this morning.
A massive barrage of Iranian missiles fired into Israel this morning. This is a moment a high-rise and nearby homes were hit. Smoke rising from the blast seen in videos circulating online.
We just come down to one of the impact sites here in Tel Aviv. Dozens of Iranian missiles fired into the heart of Israel's biggest city. You can see the destruction to the building here, but also not just to office blocks, but also to residential apartments. Scenes of total chaos here as emergency services try to get to work.
Paramedics saying 5 buildings were hit by one missile in central Israel. Israeli officials saying dozens of ballistic missiles were launched towards civilian centres across the country. In videos circulating online, the Soroka Hospital in southern Israel directly hit.
Several wards were completely demolished.
Inside, terrified staff running to escape as debris fills the air. In videos shared by the government, 3 seriously injured and dozens of others also needing treatment across the country. Israeli leaders vowing revenge, saying Iranian leader Khamenei will be held accountable. Overnight, the IDF striking dozens of sites in Iran, including the mothballed Arak nuclear reactor, capable of producing low-grade plutonium. Videos circulating online showing large plumes of smoke in the skies over Iran's capital of Tehran Wednesday. ABC News obtaining video showing deployment of the US THAAD missile defense system Tuesday, targeting Iranian missiles headed towards Israel. This is now the 7th day in this conflict, with neither Israel nor Iran showing any sign of backing down.
Well, Iran is claiming that it was targeting Israeli military facilities nearby. Well, I can tell you that's not true, because it was the hospital that was hit. Israeli leaders vowing revenge, but really what everyone's now waiting for is that decision by President Trump. Michael?
Yeah, definitely everyone is waiting for that, Ian. Thank you so much. We're going to turn now to the conflict in the Middle East, impact on gas prices, with the cost of crude oil up nearly 10% since Israel's strike on Iran. Chief Business Correspondent Rebecca Jarvis is here, tracking where prices are going and how you can save. Good morning to you, Rebecca.
Good morning, and we will get to the savings part in just a minute here, Michael. Nice to see all of you. We have seen prices climbing in recent weeks amid rising tensions in the Middle East, and that flows through to the pump, with the national average now $3.20 a gallon. It actually jumped 2 cents just overnight. The good news, though, going into this 4th of July weekend is that prices before the conflict erupted were relatively mild, and they're still well below where they were this time a year ago. Still, analysts are predicting that prices will keep climbing. By one estimate, they could jump 7 to 15 cents. Right now, the states with the highest averages are California, usually at the top, $4.65 a gallon there, Washington, $4.42 a gallon, and Oregon at $4.04 a gallon.
Okay, it is summer. Time to hop in the car.
That's right.
Put some gas in the tank and go. Any advice on how you can save money?
Go see grandma, go see a theme park. So here's the best thing you can do for yourself. You fill up early and you use the grocery store loyalty rewards and fuel discounts. You fill up early in the morning or when it's cooler outside. Pumps measure by volume and not energy content, so you technically get more fuel energy per gallon in cooler temperatures. You can also use an app like Gas Buddy or Waze with gas tracking to help you find cheaper gas and avoid traffic-heavy routes. Turn on cruise control Even on short routes, if you do less accelerating and braking, you end up using less gas. And avoid left turns. Your less time idling at intersections. There are major companies, their logistics, they actually literally plan their logistics out to avoid left turns, and I'm told they save millions of dollars doing this.
Well, I would tell you what, it wouldn't work for NASCAR, first of all. And secondly, you can't use cruise control in New York City. That kind of two things.
There's that. But you know, it's outside of New York City. We know a lot of people are outside New York City right now.
Rising gas prices might be one reason the Federal Reserve has decided not to cut rates yet.
Good point, George. So inflation still not fully in check as far as the Fed is concerned, and the economy, we're looking at lower growth ahead, which is why the Fed says it's keeping rates where they are. They're forecasting 2 cuts later this year for consumers. That means your credit card APR, it's not going lower, so you've got to stay on top of those credit card bills.
Always do.
And take advantage of the high yield savings account or CDs. I love to say that because that's the upside of the rates.
Yeah, it really is. Thank you so much, Rebecca, as always.
Thanks, guys.
And now the severe weather threat targeting major cities along the East Coast. Ginger joins us now with the track and the timing. Good morning to you, Ginger.
Hey, good morning to you. So we are going to see that along the East Coast I-95 corridor later today, but it came from the Midwest. More than 300 severe storm reports, many of them damaging wind, but some tornadoes. So Jacksonville, Illinois shows you what happened there. They're going to get out and survey that. That was a sports complex, pretty heavy damage. What we'll end up seeing is those storms reigniting as they head east. On top of that, you could see flash flooding with them, just like we saw in eastern Tennessee along the state line of South Carolina. This is an area so tender after Helene, and Interstate 40 is still closed this morning because of the flash flooding and rock slides. A quick look at where we have to look out for the storms today. It's a level 3 out of 5 this afternoon. It really erupts Baltimore, Washington, D.C., and then through the night, New York City is on the eastern side of this, but just west of us, New Jersey, Philadelphia, also, Michael, included in that enhanced risk today.
Yeah, enhanced risk indeed. Ginger, thank you so much.
We're going to turn now to a landmark decision by the Supreme Court. It upheld a Tennessee law that bans some medical treatments for transgender youth, ruling that it does not amount to discrimination. Devin Dwyer reports from the court. Good morning, Devin.
Hey, good morning, George. Parents of teens experiencing distress over their gender identity had challenged Tennessee's ban as sex discrimination, a violation of the Constitution's Equal Protection Clause. But Chief Justice John Roberts and the court's conservative majority said denying access to puberty blockers and hormone therapy is reasonable medical regulation that should be left to the states. Justice Sonia Sotomayor and the liberals wrote in dissenting in sadness, saying the decision will inflict untold harm on kids and their families. George, 25 states have laws in effect banning gender-affirming treatments for minors. The Republican sponsor of the Tennessee ban told me overnight he expects this decision will now encourage more states to pass laws protecting kids from the medical risks. But meantime, an estimated 300,000 families in this country with transgender kids will have to look to other states where gender-affirming treatment for minors remains legal. Robin?
A lot of families are going to be impacted by this, Devin. Thank you. Now to the rescue of a hiker in Sedona, Arizona. The woman was missing for 3 days before rescuers found her in a canyon.
Yeah.
Sam, you got to tell us more about
these
this.
rescue stories get even more dangerous and surprising. So wait till you hear this. They call the area where this young woman was missing the edge of the world. And this proved as ominous as it sounds. This young woman goes into the canyon and didn't come out. This morning, incredible rescue video as a woman missing for 3 days is airlifted out of an Arizona canyon. 32-year-old Janelle Banda was camping with her dad in the panoramic Coconino National Forest when she took a walk in the high and rocky terrain. She didn't return. Her dad called for help.
It's about 7,000 feet in elevation, a lot of rugged rock features.
They had been camping near a steep cliff known as the Edge of the World. Rescuers immediately beginning their search.
We put a team in to specifically go back to that cliff edge for any signs that somebody may have fallen off of that. They heard a voice in the brush, and that was Janelle.
Finally, they spotted her 400 feet below the rim of the canyon, dehydrated with cuts and bruises, but amazingly alive. Janelle telling rescuers she got turned around on her walk.
She ended up falling over that cliff. She landed in some brush and was kind of immobilized for a little while.
She was treated for minor injuries and is home, recuperating with her family. All are relieved.
a miracle that she's here. I could not imagine my life without her.
I'm just so grateful that she's well and she's doing well and she's able to walk around little by little. So I'm just so happy and so excited.
Some stories you're lucky and some stories are a miracle. Put it all together. Steep, rocky terrain, deep canyon, 3 days. Her sister saying she never thought actually that she would see her again.
I know, because 3 days like that.
Yeah. What are your chances?
I know. And we've been to Sedona and we know what that area is
gorgeous
like.
it can be.
Yeah.
Well, we're happy she's okay. Yep. All right, thank you, Sam. Coming up, we have the shark attack in the vacation hotspot of Hilton Head, South Carolina, as we see one of the largest sharks ever tagged, 14 feet long, off the shores of North Carolina.
No, thank you.
That's a big job.
Yeah. Also ahead, the acquittal of Karen Reed. What's next for her and why her legal battle may not be over? Chief Legal Analyst Dan Abrams is standing by to talk about it.
And new at 7:30, a warning about the future of Social Security.
Coming up, we have a whole lot more from Ginger on the 50th anniversary of Jaws. We'll be right back.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
Back here on GMA, can you believe Jaws is turning 50? Oh, we're going to take a deep dive behind the scenes of the blockbuster Ginger, live on Martha's Vineyard. Now, you're the one herking and jerking over there. Steven Spielberg shot that classic, by the way. I know, what is it about that theme?
It's still great.
We all see that shark coming out of the water. That's what it is. First new at 7:30, a new warning about the future of Social Security. A new government report warns that the trust funds that support the program now expected to run out of money by 2034. That's about a year earlier than predicted because of new benefits and costs. It comes as President Trump's spending proposal faces new opposition in the Senate.
Also, Ford is recalling nearly 200,000 vehicles due to a safety issue in the back seat. According to U.S. National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, there's a risk of people in the back seat getting trapped due to the inability of entering or exiting the vehicle in an emergency. The company is recalling certain 2021 to 2025 Mustang Mach-E vehicles. And sources have told ESPN that the Los Angeles Lakers are being sold in a blockbuster deal. Dodgers owner Mark Walter is buying a majority stake in the team, which values the franchise at $10 billion. Well, that is a record for a professional sports team, and the Lakers have been owned by the Buss family since 1979, when Jerry Buss paid $67.5 million in a deal that also included the Los Angeles Kings and the Forum. And I guarantee when he paid that money back in 1979, everybody thought he overpaid.
Exactly.
Good for
Look
him.
it down. He
Good
knew.
for the Buss family.
That is. Now we have the verdict in the Karen Reed case. She was found not guilty on murder and manslaughter charges in the death of her Boston police officer boyfriend, John O'Keefe, as hundreds of her supporters cheered outside the courthouse. But are her legal troubles over? Chief National Correspondent Matt Gutman is at the court there in Dedham, Massachusetts for us. Good morning, Matt.
Hey, good morning, Robin. There was a moment in that courthouse yesterday where the judge announced that the jury had a verdict, but then pulled it back. The judge saying she'd never experienced anything like that. And the hundreds of Karen Reed supporters out here collectively held their breath. And then just a couple of minutes later, that verdict was read in court, not guilty on the major counts, and the crowd out here just erupting in a roar.
Defendant not guilty or guilty? So say you, Mr. Foreman.
Those words triggering a roar from Karen Reed supporters so loud it poured through the courthouse walls. A jury acquitting her of second-degree murder, of manslaughter, and of fleeing the scene in the death of her Boston police officer boyfriend, John O'Keefe. But the jury finding her guilty for driving under the influence. The sentence, a year of probation. Reed then emerging from the courthouse.
Right now you can hear the cheers of the crowd right there. Alan Jackson, Karen Reed in that light blue suit emerging from the courthouse. You can see that confetti exploding right there.
And then addressing that sea of supporters in pink.
I could not be standing here without these amazing supporters who have supported me and my team financially and, more importantly, emotionally for almost 4 years.
Since the retrial began in April, prosecutors argued this was a cut-and-dried case, saying Reed rammed her SUV into O'Keefe after a night of drinking and left him to die in a blizzard outside a party that included other law enforcement.
She was drunk, she hit him, and she left him to die.
Reed's defense saying that never happened.
There was no collision. There was no collision. There was no collision.
They suggested a more sinister scenario, alleging O'Keefe was attacked that night, dragged outside this house, and then mauled by the family dog, and that lead homicide investigator Michael Proctor helped cover it up.
It was corrupted by a lead investigator whose misconduct infected every single part of this case from the top to the bottom.
In an exclusive interview, we asked Proctor about those allegations. Did you plant evidence?
Absolutely not.
We're talking about people in your community, your neighbors, who believe it. This is not strangers. This is people in Canton. Why do you think that is?
That's just the loud minority. We've had an overwhelming amount of support.
And overnight, Reed celebrating that victory with her family.
Happy. I'm happy. Thank you. I fought for John O'Keefe harder than anyone.
Meanwhile, O'Keefe's family and friends gathering after the verdict to remember John.
Johnny deserved much more than this. This circus, it's unacceptable. But you respect the jury's decision. It's what it is.
The O'Keefe family telling me also that they were very disappointed with that verdict, but that they are resilient and that they'll keep fighting. And that means that Karen Reed is not out of the legal woods yet. The O'Keefe family has already filed a wrongful death civil suit against her. Now that the legal criminal trial is over, that civil suit can begin. Guys.
And we're going to talk to our chief legal analyst, Dan Abrams, about that. Thank you so much, Matt. So what was different this time compared to the first trial?
Look, this case was actually presented better, I think, than the first case by the prosecutors. I think it was more streamlined. I think they had some more evidence in the form of videos, of interviews that she had done where she said things that were potentially incriminating. So when you ask me to compare the cases, I'd say this time the prosecutors did a better, stronger job than they did the first time. So what's the difference? The jury. You get a different makeup of jurors in every single case. And in this case, you found a jury who unanimously came back in her favor, with the exception of the one drunk driving charge.
And we saw in the piece when she came out, it's like the crowd, her supporters went wild for her. Do you think them showing up every day had an impact in the deliberation?
It's crazy at the courthouse, all right? I mean, I remember covering the O.J. Simpson case and other high-profile cases, and when you're at a case like that and you hear all the people screaming, et cetera, every time, you come in, you come out, it has an impact. Now, the jurors were brought in the back, and the goal was to avoid them having any direct interactions with the folks out there. But, you got to ask the question, right? You got to ask yourself, did that have any impact? It's impossible to know. We'll have to hear from the jurors.
I want to ask you about the civil cases, but first, do you understand why we had this kind of phenomenon here with the crowds and all that?
Look, I think that people decided, in this community in particular, that they felt she'd been mistreated. And I think social media perpetuated it, and I think it gathered these communities of people who joined together to defend Karen Reed.
But many weren't even from the community.
I know. Look, it is definitely one of these social media phenomena. And they would say it's because she was wrongly accused, right? I think that's a little tougher.
And she still faces civil proceedings.
And remember, in a civil case, the legal standard is different, right? Because in a criminal case, it's proof beyond a reasonable doubt. In a civil case, it's a lower standard for the family, just more likely than not. So there's a much better chance that they could win in a civil case, but they're still going to have some of the same issues that the prosecutors had here with regard to some of the police evidence.
Wow. All right, Dan. Thank you so much. Always appreciate your expertise. Back on GMA, with the beachgoer bitten this week in Hilton Head, South Carolina, and several recent great white sightings. This all happening as Jaws celebrates its 50th anniversary, and Ginger is live in Martha's Vineyard with more for us. Good morning again, Ginger.
Yeah. Good morning to you. Michael, you told me yesterday that the movie Jaws, quote, ruined the ocean for you. Well, you are not alone. It was the fear and fascination, 50 years now, about this predator.
This morning, a new close call in the water. A female recovering after an apparent shark bite off Hilton Head.
She hasn't lost a good amount of blood so far.
We confirmed probably a shark bite. That patient airlifted to the hospital. Just the latest incident as shark sightings soar this summer. Great whites spotted on Long Island. And off the shores of North Carolina last week, a 14-foot-long shark named Contender.
Their migration basically goes from off the southeastern U.S.,
Gulf of Mexico in the winter, right up to here in the summertime. They'll even go past us all the way up to Canada.
They're not coming to hunt for humans, but they do sometimes make a mistake.
But the fictional shark in the groundmaking movie Jaws
That's a 20-footer.
25.
seemed quite intentional.
No, well, we're not going swimming tomorrow. You gonna sleep well tonight? No.
50 years after the movie instilled a deep fear of sharks in so many beachgoers everywhere, there are more and more sightings of sharks too close for comfort.
White sharks are approaching shore in greater numbers because the seal populations are coming back. So we do indeed see a trend where more white sharks are coming closer to shore in these waters. You know, that doesn't mean that the risk is very high, but the risk does increase a little bit when those white sharks overlap with human activities.
The movie inspiring fear, but also fascination, and a generation of scientists who have helped save the vulnerable shark population, at risk due to pollution, nets, and finning practices.
One of the things we've been trying to do is place acoustic receivers that will detect the presence of our sharks. And that gives us a sense of the seasonality of sharks and the abundance of sharks in these waters. They're fascinating animals, and they're very, very important to a healthy ecosystem.
Coming up in the next hour of GMA, we get to look behind the scenes of a new documentary by National Geographic about the making of the movie Jaws. And we are going to talk live to a man that would come here as a tourist to Martha's Vineyard regularly and then became an actor in the film. There's a lot to celebrate 50 years after Jaws, guys.
It really is. But with that fog behind you, I keep waiting to see something, you know.
Ominous.
Perfect setting. Thank you. We'll get back to you a little bit.
Well, Will Reeves stepped into the confessional here during the commercial break. But that's not what we're going to talk about. Game 6, NBA
We
Finals.
are. We're going to talk about the fact this could be the final game of the NBA season here. With the Thunder are within one game of winning the title. Will they close it out? That answer may hinge on whether the Pacers' best player is even able to play.
The Thunder have the answer. It's 3-2.
This morning, just hours away from a crucial Game 6 of the NBA Finals.
OKC in front here in the NBA Finals.
The Oklahoma City Thunder up 3-2 in the series, one win away from the title.
Got it.
It's a must-win for the Pacers, and the health of their superstar a major question. Their season hanging in the balance.
Practice today, did what I could.
Tyrese Halliburton reportedly nursing a strained right calf. The 25-year-old laboring through Game 5 on Monday, finishing with only 4 points. His status tonight, a game-time decision.
They'll get together and do some testing, and that will determine whether he plays or not.
Halliburton saying he's doing everything he can to be on the floor for Game 6, undergoing round-the-clock treatment.
I think I have to be as smart as I want to be. I have to understand the risks, but I'm a competitor. I want to play.
The MVP's availability is not in question.
The cusp of winning is not winning, and the way I see it, winning is all that matters.
Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, averaging over 32 points in his first 5 NBA Finals games, has been carrying Oklahoma City to the verge of glory. Helped in Game 5 by third-year All-Star Jalen Williams and his 40-point masterpiece in Game 5.
You don't stumble into the finals, and you surely don't get into the finals with just one person, so we're going to get their best punch regardless of who plays and who doesn't.
And there have been 19 Game 7s in NBA Finals history, none since 2016. Will there be a 20th, or will the Thunder bring home the first title to Oklahoma City? Game 6 tonight, 8:30 Eastern, ABC.
That was a deep dive on the stat there.
Yeah. It could be the last one of the year.
We'll be right back.
Good morning, America. It's 8 a.m. This morning, a massive barrage of Iranian missiles fired into Israel. American diplomats evacuated. Overnight, the IDF strikes dozens of sites in Iran as President Trump prepares, approving attack plans for Iran. The U.S. military prepositions aircraft carriers and strike groups in the region. Now the world waits on the president's final decision.
More than 60 million on alert across the east for severe weather. At least 12 reported tornadoes across 4 states as we brace for the extreme heat, the danger this weekend. Touchdown, how the Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders scored big. The deal giving them a new reason to cheer.
And we're gonna need a bigger boat as we take a deep dive on the movie that changed everything.
Shark! The shark!
looking at how Jaws invented the summer blockbuster 50 years ago.
I was terrified I was going to be fired.
Ginger's live in Martha's Vineyard with one of the movie's stars, and they're saying,
Good morning,
Live from ABC News headquarters in New York City, it's Thursday. Good morning, America.
Good morning, America. How can you fire Steve Spielberg? Because he's the guy that has us on edge this morning with the Jaws theme song. You know, Ginger's in foggy Martha's Vineyard, where the classic was filmed 50 years ago. Hey, Ginger.
Oh yeah, Michael, I'm here with Jeffrey Kramer, who played Deputy Hendricks in the film 50 years ago, and a wonderful crowd, all dressed up in sharks, even the dogs, because we're all in on celebrating 50 years of Jaws this weekend. Yes. I don't know if you know this, but there was no such thing as a summer blockbuster before Jaws came and sank its teeth into the box office. It really hasn't let go since then. But the movie almost didn't happen. We are going to go behind the scenes, look at a new documentary, and talk to Jeffrey and the whole crowd coming up, guys.
We are looking forward to that, Ginger. Thank you for being there for us. And we want to take a live look at Galveston, Texas, the home of the country's Juneteenth celebrations, marking when enslaved people in Texas were finally freed after the Civil War.
Now look at the top stories breaking at 8. We start with the showdown between the U.S. and Iran. President Trump has spent 2 days of meetings in the Situation Room, was weighing decision whether the U.S. forces will join Israel in attacking Iran's nuclear facilities. He says he hasn't made a final decision yet. I want to go back to our senior political correspondent, Rachel Scott at the White House. Good morning, Rachel.
Hey, George, good morning to you. And as this conflict rages on, we are learning this morning that President Donald Trump has approved attack plans for Iran, but has not decided yet whether to move forward with them. It comes as the U.S. military has already pre-positioned aircraft carriers and strike groups in the region, and overnight evacuating American diplomats from Israel. The president has demanded Iran's unconditional surrender, but the regime's supreme leader sending a direct message to the White House saying, quote, "The Americans should know the Iranian nation will not surrender, and any intervention by the U.S. will be met with a forceful response and irreparable damage." Still, for much of the day, the president held out the possibility that the U.S. might join Israel's war. Sources say the president has been under pressure from Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to get more involved, as only the U.S. has those bunker buster bombs capable of penetrating Iran's deep nuclear site. There is a notable change in tone from the president, though. I spoke to him over the weekend on the phone, and he told me there was no deadline for Iran to make a deal. Now he says it's very late to be talking, that there's a difference between this week and last week. It's clear he's losing patience, Michael.
Yeah, very clear, Rachel. Thank you so much for that. I'm going to turn now to more on the Karen Reed verdict. Not guilty on the most serious charges. We're going to go back to Matt Gutman live in Boston. Good morning again, Matt.
Hey, good morning, Mike. I want to set the scene for you. Yesterday, there were hundreds of Karen Reed supporters out here. They were filling the alleyways right up against these barricades on the courthouse steps, many of them wearing pink, Karen Reed's favorite color. And there was a moment in court where the judge announced that there was a verdict, but then the jury pulled it back, which is unprecedented. And there was this collective hush on the crowd here. And just a couple of minutes after that, those real verdicts came in. The not guilties on the second-degree murder, on the manslaughter, on the fleeing the scene, guilty on driving under the influence. And there was this huge roar from the crowd out here, and they roared even more loudly when Karen Reed walked down those courthouse steps and addressed them. Now, she had faced a possible sentence of life in prison for the death of her Boston police officer boyfriend, John O'Keefe, who died in a blizzard in 2022, but she walked out of that courthouse with just probation for that driving under the influence charge. But she's not quite out of the legal woods yet. The O'Keefe family telling me that they were very disappointed by that verdict yesterday, but that they are resilient and that they are going to keep fighting on. They have already filed a wrongful death civil suit against her. Now that the criminal trial is over, proceedings in that civil suit can begin. Robin.
All right, Matt, our thanks to you. Now the severe weather threat targeting major cities along the East Coast as we brace for the extreme heat that is on the way. Ginger tracking it all there in the Vineyard.
Hey, good morning to you. Robin, you know, here on Martha's Vineyard, we start with fog, and you can feel the moisture in the air. That's going to be part of the fuel for the thunderstorms later. That all came from the Midwest, and you can see some of the video there. That's Jacksonville, Illinois. That's a sports complex that ended up having damaging winds or tornado. They're going to get out and survey it today. But in the state of Illinois, they had winds up to 81 miles per hour reported. In eastern Tennessee, right along the state line of South Carolina, Interstate 40 is still closed because of rock slides and flash flooding. It's been been such a super saturated week. And as these storms come through later today, you're going to see some flash flooding with them as well, because you'll get 1 to 3 inches falling really quickly. But we stopped the clock here at 4 p.m. to let you know that Baltimore, Washington, D.C., that's when the damaging wind threat comes through. And isolated tornadoes not out of the question. Western New Jersey, Philadelphia, just west of New York City, all end up in what we call the enhanced risk. That is a level 3 out of 5. But the general risk, or the kind of 2 out of 5, goes from Burlington right through New Hampshire, western Massachusetts, including Worcester, down to Charlotte and Raleigh. So there is damaging wind threat for a large area. And behind that, we know the heat builds. Yes, we'll get our dry, sunny weekend, but then we'll be feeling like above 100 by next week, guys.
All right, Ginger, thank you.
You know, coming up in our GMA morning menu, the Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders scoring a major payday. We're going to have all the details.
Also had new hope in the fight against fatty liver disease. It is a silent killer affecting 1 in 4 Americans. Dr. Tara Narul is going to break that down for us.
And we're going to go behind the scenes of the oldest black crew in New Orleans, the Zulu Club, and see how far this historic group went to bring back the Zulu parade on Mardi Gras after the pandemic. We're going to meet the director, one of the members featured in A King Like Me. And Sam, what do you got going on there with Tori?
So Tori's been bringing us the summer beauty bargains all this week, Robin, and this morning she has a blockbuster lineup of some of your favorite beauty brands. Look at this lineup, all at least 50% off. And by the way, I was not a believer in this motorized flosser.
Yeah, I've sold him.
I am a believer.
Buying an electric flosser right now.
Wait till you see this. It's coming up right here on GMA. I'm actually going to floss while we're in commercial. Oh.
We are back with our GMA cover story, celebrating 50 years of the movie Jaws. It changed the way many thought about a day at the beach, to say the least, me included. But let's go back to Ginger, who's standing on the famous Martha's Vineyard beach. Hey, Ginger.
Hey, so Michael, yes, the movie Jaws has been making waves for 50 years. And really, there's so much when we look back over the last 50 years about how it became the first summer blockbuster ever, and how we look at the water behind us a little differently. In a new National Geographic documentary, they're going to look back at the making of the film and how it almost didn't happen, plus its cultural legacy.
Where are we going?
Swimming! With 2 notes. And 1 shark. Steven Spielberg's Jaws changed movies forever.
It was sort of life-changing.
There have been movies made since using CG sharks that aren't nearly as good.
The film, released 50 years ago, becoming an instant blockbuster. But the making of the movie was over budget and 100 days behind schedule.
I was terrified I was going to be fired.
Nat Geo's new documentary, Jaws at 50, takes a deep dive into the production, plagued by issues with that mechanical shark.
There was nothing fun about making Jaws. It was a very, very hard thing to go out on the real ocean, be knocked around by the waves, by the currents.
One more time.
And then on top of all that, 80% of the time the shark didn't work.
You're going to need a bigger boat.
Shark! The shark! Shark in the
Jaws was shot right here on Martha's Vineyard between May and October of 1974, and this is the Jaws Bridge, one of the most famous spots from the film. People still come to visit today. The cast and crew of Jaws was right here in picturesque Edgartown as they transformed it into the beachside resort town of Amity.
Many of the actors in the movie, islanders, lifelong residents of Martha's Vineyard, like Jeffrey Voorhees, whose character, Alex Kinter, was one of the shark's victims.
When you see me go up and down, that's 2 guys lifting me in and out of the water, then pull you under and give you air.
And Jonathan Searle, who appeared alongside his brother in this memorable moment.
He made me do it. He told me to do it.
So in the film, you are pulling a hoax, or your character is, but now you in real life are the chief of police.
Can you believe that? I'm still amazed at the following that the movie has produced, and that 50 years later people are still so interested. Who knew when I was sitting with a 26-year-old gentleman that would be Steven Spielberg?
Jaws fans, I would like to introduce you to Jeffrey Kramer, who played Deputy Hendricks, and you came here as a tourist regularly, but then you ended up acting in the film. We just saw how Jaws was kind of a mess, but then became what it became. What lessons did you learn from watching what happened 50 years later?
Nothing worked. Nothing worked. When you saw the shark come up and go, whoa, right down into the water, you thought, whoa, my gosh. And rumors were going around that we were going to pull the plug, and we were never going to finish this movie. They were way over. But it was a perfect creative storm. The editing, the music, and how brilliant Stephen was to shoot it at eye level in the water so we all felt like we were in it. It was some experience, and 50 years later, it changed the way movies are marketed, where they're sold, and everything else. It was, and if you really want to know how it changed life, I wear this hat. It says Amity Police. A cop pulls me over in Sherman Oaks, and he goes, you know, you went through the stop sign. I said, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. I didn't go over far. He goes, why are you wearing that hat? I said, I play the deputy in Jaws. He goes, oh, I love that movie. Don't do it again. So now I wear it like it's going to save my life forever.
You live here on the island, and you have had 50 years to watch this. What does it mean to be a part of, you know, all history, of film, of sharks, of everything?
Please, it means it was really how grateful I am to have been in this. And, you know, we take our acts and we should make them be grateful for them as we can, and you keep moving forward. That's the lesson that Stephen, I'm sure, learned on this. It was horrendous for Stephen, and he kept moving forward, and who knew that it would all come together like this?
Well, we are glad it did.
I
we
get
can't
it.
imagine. Thank you.
For sure.
Jeffrey Kramer, thank you. We can't imagine a world without Jaws. And Jaws at 50, the definitive inside story, will premiere next month on the National Geographic Channel. It will stream on Hulu and Disney+. All right, Michael, you've got to get in the water now. That's just what happens, guys.
Yeah. You know, I am going to get. I get in the water. Ginger, I want you to know, I get in the water in a swimming pool.
Yes. There you go.
No,
there you go. I'm in the water.
It's going to be a segment.
Thank you for that.
We've all tried. We've all tried.
It's not that I never get in the water. I like dark, murky water. You have no shot.
I'm with you.
I'm not blaming
Even
you.
clear water. I'm not getting too far from the boat. I'm like,
I'm going to fire up a live tomorrow afternoon from the ocean. I'll just,
But right now you're going to bring us pop.
But right now you're right. We're going to do pop news. The whole time I was staring at the shark in that interview, by the way. All right, let's start pop news with a cheer for the Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders. And this morning, they're cheering not just for their team, but for an off-the-field victory for the whole squad. So during the season 2 finale of the Netflix docuseries America's Sweethearts, they shared some news. Here it is.
Our efforts were heard, and they wanted to give us a raise, and we ended up getting a 400% increase, which is like life-changing.
Happy isn't even the right word for it. I think I was just kind of felt like a relief, like everything had paid off, and it was, you know, finally we were done fighting.
I love the fact that I made change for the girls that are coming up behind me, even if I'm not getting a chance to benefit.
Now, if you didn't get that and you haven't been following the show, season 1 of the Netflix series debuted last summer and shot the entire squad into the spotlight, and it also revealed the very low pay of many professional cheerleaders. It gave viewers a behind-the-scenes look at just how much work these young women do, and it showed us that somehow all of this is not even considered a full-time job, guys. There has been no official confirmation on the exact wages under their new deal, but this is a welcome update in a long fight for fair pay, and I'm sure it's going to continue in a lot of other areas. Both seasons of America's Sweethearts are streaming now on Netflix, so they feel like they did a great thing for the entire cheer industry.
They work really hard. I mean, the rehearsals and everything that they put into it, come on.
And they have to spend most of the year getting ready for this, just for the season, and then they're not paid for the whole thing.
And the thing about, especially Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders, they're as synonymous as the Dallas Cowboy football team.
You're right.
They are.
You're totally right. Yeah. All right, see? That was,
There you go.
we all
Got
believe.
some sports in it, somebody Sam. Great job.
Some sports I can actually get into. All right, now, for the Sex and the City fans out there, you know, it's the forever quiz. Are you a Carrie? Are you a Miranda? Are you a Charlotte or a Samantha? I didn't need a quiz to know that I'm a huge Samantha fan. And as for Sarah Jessica Parker, well, she is Carrie, so there's no question there. The actor sitting down with Alex Cooper on a Call Her Daddy podcast and opening up about the series and the character that has defined a lot of her career, really. And despite the criticism Carrie the character has gotten over the years, SJP stands by her. Here's why.
There's a sentiment sometimes that she's frustrated or she's selfish or she makes poor decisions or she doesn't manage her money well. Yeah, all of that has been true over the course of the last 25 years. But she's also been like hugely loyal, decent, reliable, a really good friend, generous, available, present, comforting.
Well, after that, I may be a Carrie. Parker adding that there would be no show if Carrie had been a consistently stellar human being. Other revelations from the podcast turn out during first season, that Sex and the City, SJP made a very smart move and negotiated her contract to keep all of Carrie's outfits. Now, she still has them. Most of them are in archive. Can you guess the one that she decided to keep with her? It's a studded leather belt. You may have seen it. She loves it so much she named it Roger. I wish I had a picture to show you.
I'm about to say.
There it is. Oh, there it is. Yes. That's it right there. And finally this morning, how about some new music courtesy of Benson Boone? I think we should do him every day right here in Pop News. Have him on every day. The singer teasing his next single, Mr. Electric Blue, with a hilarious video on his origin story. Take a look.
Was that the backflip I saw?
Yeah, that was a backflip. They're pretty easy for me.
Can you sing by chance?
No, but I guess I could try it.
He's absolutely perfect.
Huh. Weird guy.
Ooh, Mr. Electric Blue.
And just like that, the 70s look is back completely, right? So you heard a little snippet there at the end. Well, you'll get to hear the whole thing tomorrow when Mr. Electric Blue drops, along with Benson's sophomore album, American Heart. Can't wait to hear all of that. There are so many more backflips in his future. He kicks off his sold-out arena world tour August 22nd, and that was sold out, by the way, in 9 seconds.
How is that possible? Summer Beauty Bonanza with Tori for deals and steals. Let's get
Ready?
to it. Yes.
Benefit, baby. Biggest name worldwide in brows. We've got the entire brow collection, plus all of their amazing mascaras, volume, lift, you name it, they got it. Plus, we've got highlighters in this bronzer. Everyone knows this little iconic bronzer, but guess what? Everything from Benefit today that we have is 50% off. We love that.
We love that.
Okay, we also love Strivectin. They have the #1 neck tightening cream in America, specifically for this area. Not sure if I've told you, but I am in my crepey skin era. And so when you wake up one day, don't worry, it's there. When you wake up and you've got this little crepey skin, then you're like, whoa, thank goodness for this Crepe Control. I have been testing this. I'm testing it along with some other ones, and this one so far ranks my #1. They also have the Crepe Control hand cream, which I am buying today because I didn't even know this existed. Everything from Strivectin to help you, whether it's crepey or something else, all 50% off and free shipping as well from Strivectin.
Wonderful.
Laura Geller. We know and love everything from Laura Geller. This is about gorgeous at any age. We've got a variety of kits that they've created for us. The Gorgeous at Any Age kit with my favorite Best of the Best palette. They also have this one, this little like Glow Gorgeous. You'll find all of the kits as well as the singles online. We also love the eyeliners, big fan of those. Everything from Laura Geller up to 65% off plus
free shipping.
She's giving us free shipping too. Okay, so on this blouse, you'll notice that the white one is missing. Sam now owns that one. This is an electric flosser, as easy as an electric toothbrush, but for flossing. And what I love most about it is that the long handle allows you to get to the back molars instead of having to put your dirty fingers in your mouth. And sometimes you just skip that in the back area because it's annoying or impossible to get to. This makes it easy. You're gonna feel good, your teeth are gonna feel good, and your dentist is going to be happy. What's better than that?
My dentist always fusses with me because lower right, I can
you
never
don't
get
get
there.
to it. You're gonna get to it now, and you're gonna save 50%.
Can't beat that.
All right, style edit. We've got a big variety. If you've got any kind of like little thinning areas, roots that you want to conceal, gray that you want to conceal, this is going to help you do it. We've got pen, powder, or spray, so you can choose your methodology. The powder is so easy to use because it comes with this little buffer right here. You pop the color right on there, then move it right into the area that you need it. Perfect. It's perfect, flawless, 50% off plus
free shipping. You
from
gotta
Style
be, you gotta
Edit.
be kidding me.
Okay, Wonder Skin. They make one of the most popular, iconic lip stains. So it comes out blue on your mouth, and you're like, whoa, what is that? Yeah. You leave it for about a minute or two, wipe it off, and then you've got this gorgeous color, not the blue, but the actual color you choose that lasts all day long. It's incredible. Everything from them, 50% off today. And then finally, fancy mirrors. These are fabulous because they mimic real daylight. They've got also a 10 times magnifier if you need it for tweezing. So you're never gonna have a beauty mishap on the go because you have perfect lighting, 50% off.
Thank you.
And you look flawless.
Wonderful. I don't know how you did it in the time that you did it. You've partnered with all these companies?
Yes.
You get them on our website, and we'll be right back.
Welcome back to GMA, live from New York City.
That is a gorgeous sky shot. Hey, welcome back. So the answer to what fills your cup sometimes is whatever caffeine is handy, but all week long, we've been celebrating the move to our new studio by popping into local coffee shops around the country where you get your coffee and connecting with some of you this morning. And this morning, we're in Lakeland, Florida at Amani Joe's, like Armani Joe's, but Amani Joe's Coffee and Delights. It's the Delights that has me, but before we chat, take a look at their history.
Welcome to Amani Joe's Coffee.
At Amani Joe's,
Good morning, America.
It's going to be a very nice, cozy hometown feel whenever you walk into my shop.
they're nourishing your soul and your body.
We are an all-organic coffee shop. I make my syrups. I make the food fresh.
Blending big dreams with bright caffeinated flavors.
I get to go ahead and infuse my flavors. You get a little taste of Bahamas, a little taste of Haiti.
And a team who has your back.
This community is filled with support, love, and they really show up for you.
Oh my gosh, that looks so delicious. All right, so we're joined now by the owner of Amani Joe's Coffees. Everybody has their coffee. We're ready. Yeah. We're waiting on a little bit of a creamer. We need a GMA creamer. But Patrice, welcome to the show. And tell me about the Delights. I'm so interested in the coffee and Delights. Why did you choose it?
We're Amani Joe's Coffee. The name comes after my mom, Amani. We did this in honor of her, my sisters and I. This is my sister Angie in the red next to me.
Hi, Angie.
She's a firefighter, so she's on call, so she's not here next to me. But my daughter Sanaya is here. She also helps me in the coffee shop. We named it after my mom because we lost her in 2017 to ovarian cancer, and we wanted to honor her name and, just keep the story alive. She was a resilient woman, a hospitable woman. So we wanted to do something where we could kind of share that love and continue what she started with us, showing that love to our community here in Lakeland.
Well, congratulations to you guys. You did an amazing job, even though we had a little wonky audio. Before we go, what is the coffee that we're drinking, if we can just get that before we go, because I want to know.
Okay, so that is the Amani Joe's blend. It is very unique. It is roasted right here in Lakeland with Ethos Roasters. It is all organic, so that's the special behind it. You're going to have notes of chocolate, a little bit of caramel, and it's going to be a
It's delicious.
It's delicious. It really is. And thank you guys so very much for joining us this morning.
And I love it's a family business.
Yeah, I do too. And everybody's there to show up. Look, that was a huge crowd. Thank you guys. This is amazing. Tomorrow morning, we're going to visit Full City Rooster in Dallas. So come by and we'll join it. You guys go by there if you're around the area.
Now, with a special look at the new documentary in association with Rockin' Robin Productions. It is called A King Like Me. Follows members of the Zulu Club, New Orleans' first black Mardi Gras crew, at a time where the people in the community, they needed the joy and uplifting more than ever. I am here with Matthew O. Henderson, the filmmaker, and Terrence Rice, a Zulu member featured in the film. Can we please welcome them properly to Good Morning America? Terrence, thank you there, Eddie. Appreciate that. Terrence, I look at you and I see New Orleans. I see my sister. I'm telling you. But let people know what Zulu is all about and why this man right there was the right one to put this on film.
The Zulu Club is called the Zulu Social Aid and Pleasure Club.
it derived from an organization called the Tramps that was started in 1908. So in 1916, they went and saw a play called There Never Will and Never Will Be a King Like Me. And they were so impressed by the iconography and the production that they changed their name to Zulu Associating Treasure Club in 1916.
And why is this the man?
This film was important to have Matt as a director because he truly captured the voice of the community. He embedded himself in the club. He embedded himself into New Orleans culture. And I think he did an excellent job capturing the true meaning of New Orleans and the feeling of
It really comes to life.
It comes to life.
I got to give you credit here because, you know, as a filmmaker, you go in thinking, I know this story. I know how I'm going to, and then another one emerges. Is that what happened for you?
Yeah, it's exactly what happened. You know, I think you, in filmmaking, you know, being unafraid to pivot is so important. And, you know, I was really inspired by a quote from D.A. Pennebaker, who is often credited with kind of coming up with the verite style of filmmaking. And someone once asked him, you know, how did you come up with the style, you know, that, you know, essentially changed the industry? Thought about it for a quick moment, and he said, you know, it was easy, actually. I shot what I found, not what I expected to find. And, you know, I kind of took that mantra in the way that I approach filmmaking. And for me, like I am, for those who know me, I'm a very patient person. You know, so taking the time to understand the story that you want to tell, the intention of the story that you want to tell, but then being patient to allow the story to lead you. And that's what we did for the film.
Yeah, patient and persistent.
Yes.
Patient and persistent.
Yeah.
Can we show everybody
Please,
a little bit
I'd love
of a clip?
to, yes.
All right, here it is.
What I experience when I come here is being able to be my authentic self and that be okay. I don't have to code switch. You can come here and talk to an elected official that's on high or talk to a person that is a public service worker that keeps our streets clean. But we're all equal here. And I think there's power in erasing socioeconomic status and title and coming together as black men.
And Terrence, I heard you say in the film that you feel like you're riding on the shoulders of your ancestors. Can you let folks know what you mean by that?
Absolutely. Being a member of the Zulu Club shows the resistance of African Americans and the struggles we had to go through just to exist. And being a member of the Zulu Club constantly let me know that a lot of guys have come before me and paid dues to allow me to accomplish the things and do the things I'm able to do today. So without those guys, it'd be no me. And the Zulu is a constant reminder to the people that paid the cost to allow me to be the man I am today.
Yeah.
So I love the club for that.
I know that you do, and I love it too. And I'm so proud of y'all in so many ways and so grateful because, whew, you know, the pandemic, there was a lot going on in the city. And you all really stepped up. Tell people how you did that.
Yeah, after Katrina, we were the first organization to say that we wanted to participate in Mardi Gras, that we wanted to bring a sense of normalcy back to the city. And I think that set the tone for the rebuild. And I think that Mardi Gras day will forever live in my life, but that was the first time I ever rode in Zulu.
Was it?
Yeah, I wasn't a member at the time.
20 years ago.
20 years ago, and I think that set the tone for the comeback and the rebuilding of Katrina in such a big way.
My bad. I meant Katrina. I said COVID, but I meant after Katrina that they did that. I want to ask you this because I'm very proud to be associated with this. Myself and Kevin Hart were brought in. And it's a question I'm going to ask both of you, but I'm going to begin with you, Matthew. When the credits are rolling at the end of the film, what is the conversation that you're hoping folks will have?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's layered. One of the things that I love about filmmaking is the fact that, you know, people walk away with and pull from your film, you know, the things that, you know, resonate with them, you know, so the conversations that take place after, you know, there's the intention that we went into making the film with to really show a grounded portrayal of Black life centered in New Orleans, centered in the Zulu Club, but also, you know, investigate and look into like these disparities that exist, not just in New Orleans and in in Zulu, but across the African American diaspora. So what I would love for people to walk away with was just to see a glimpse of themselves and to understand that it's okay to have conversations about tradition, about culture.
And have pride.
Yeah, and have pride in that, you know. And these are conversations that take place in our community all the time. So to be able to showcase that in participants in our film, like Terrence, like the amazing individuals that are featured in our film, for them to be able to share of their heart, of their pride, of their joy, it's absolutely incredible.
That's a universal theme.
Exactly.
How about for you?
I want people to see humanity. I want people to see that we have more in common than we share so much. And at this crucial time in American history, I think this film could let people think about where we are today and see how we could work together for the greater good and a common cause for everyone. So my goal is that this film unifies the community and shows America that we have more in common than we have that we don't agree on.
Yeah, my mama used to say, we have more in common than not, so why don't we celebrate those similarities instead of picking apart those differences? Gentlemen, very happy for you both.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you so much for being here. And I want people to know, A King Like Me premieres today. How appropriate, on Juneteenth, and you'll see it only on Netflix. Let's go back to Ginger now, Martha's Vineyard.
Hey, Robin, when I tell you that this entire island is going all in on the Jaws 50th, they are going all in. Let's look at what they've brought us here. Rockfish made some Jaws-inspired mocktails. They've got some gorgeous art. This is one of my favorites from Katama Candle, Chrissy's Last Swim. Smells good. CB Stark has the jewelry that Chrissy wore. Everything from the Shark Attack ice cream to the fudge, and here, those shark donuts. And they'll be able to enjoy it. The beach forecast looks brilliant. Yes, the water's still a little cold, but much nicer weekend ahead.
We're going to take a look now at a medical condition that affects roughly 1 in 4 Americans. Many don't even know it. Chief Medical Correspondent Dr. Tara Narula here with the story, fatty liver disease.
Fatty liver disease. Good morning, George. Well, non-alcoholic fatty liver disease is often called a silent epidemic because most people don't know they have it until routine blood work shows abnormal liver enzymes or it is found incidentally on abdominal imaging. But now a new treatment is giving patients like Benjamin Rush a second chance at life. At age 16, doctors told Benjamin Rush he had non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, a condition where fat builds up in the liver.
My liver enzymes were extremely high for someone my age, and that set off a lot of alarm bells.
It can be a scary diagnosis affecting about 25% of Americans. Often there are no symptoms, and until now, there was no approved medication.
It's a silent killer, and nobody knows about it until it's almost too late.
Without intervention, fatty liver can lead to inflammation, cirrhosis, liver cancer, and even liver transplant. While there is no specific cause, there are some risk factors like family history, obesity, diabetes, high blood pressure, and high cholesterol.
Fatty liver disease is sometimes called a silent epidemic because most patients are asymptomatic.
Benjamin, an Arizona native, was able to reduce his liver enzymes, fat, and scarring with the recently FDA-approved medication Rezdiffra. It can be used in more advanced forms of fatty liver disease. Benjamin's doctor, Dr. Naeem Al-Khoury, is on the advisory board of Rezdiffra.
We've known for a long time that weight loss can help patients with fatty liver disease.
And now GLP-1 drugs like Ozempic are showing promise against the disease as well.
GLP-1 receptor agonists are FDA approved to treat obesity and type 2 diabetes, and they have encouraging data that may have also beneficial effects on fatty liver disease.
Ben told us his own grandfather died at the age of 40, 50 years ago this month of cirrhosis. So certainly if you have a family history or risk factors like obesity, diabetes, or high cholesterol, speak to your doctor about getting checked.
Well, much more common than I imagined.
Absolutely, yeah. People don't think 1 in 4.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Coming up, author Garrison Hayes tells us about his book, a kid's book about Juneteenth.
We're back now on this Juneteenth with a look at this day celebrating the end of slavery in America. Garrison Hayes is the author of a kid's book about Juneteenth, and he's here to help shine a light on the history behind this holiday. And Garrison, thank you for being here. Congratulations on the book, and you write in the book that your great-great-great-grandparents were enslaved. So tell us about the significance of Juneteenth and why you wanted to write a book about it.
Sure. So Juneteenth, of course, celebrates June 19th, 1865, when what was believed to be the final group of enslaved black people learned of their freedom. Now, of course, historians and researchers like my good friend Kimberly Renee have complicated that history. We know that story doesn't just end there, but it does celebrate that time. I come from a family of storytellers. My grandmother specifically told me all kinds of stories about growing up in Atlanta, that even when she was a little girl, she knew enslaved people. And so I've always felt this connection to the past, and I'm excited to be able to have written a book about that history. I don't know about you, Michael, but I learned about Juneteenth later in life. So I wrote this book because I wanted for kids to know about it as early as possible.
And you know, Juneteenth became a national holiday only 4 years ago.
That's right.
Only 4 years ago. That's so recent. But how do you approach writing about it in a book to children? And what do you want kids to take away from the book?
That's a good question. You know, for me, I think that this story isn't just Black history, it's American history.
Exactly.
And we want as many kids to know this history as early as possible. You know, I approach this thinking a lot about solidarity, which is, I think, the kind of core of Juneteenth. June 19th isn't the only Emancipation Day in American history. There are others. But Juneteenth is this day where we believe that the final group for a long time learned of their emancipation. And so I want for kids to know that at the core of Juneteenth, the heart of Juneteenth, is this idea that none of us are free until all of us are free. That solidarity really, really matters, which is a message that they need to know now, I think, more than ever.
I agree with that. And we have a question for you from a young viewer. Let's check it out.
Good morning, America. My name is Dr. Beresford. My question for Garrison is, how can I celebrate Juneteenth with my little brother, Lennox?
Great question.
That's a great question. Well, first of all, thank you for that question. I think the best way that you can celebrate Juneteenth are three ways. First, you can rest. That's important. Figure out how to just enjoy the day. It's a holiday after all. And secondly, I'd say that you should do something really, really nice for your brother. That's the best thing that you can do. That's also really good. And then third, I think you can learn more about history. I think this is a good book for that. But learn the history that brings us to this moment. So those are three ways that I think you can celebrate this day.
Man, great advice right there. Great ways to celebrate. Being nice to your brother may be hard, though, because I got brothers.
Me too. Shout out to Gavin.
And you have more than 500,000 followers on TikTok. But you're very creative, because you take these videos about serious topics, you make them fun, you use innovative ways to do that. So what's the secret? What's the secret to making history come alive for everybody who views your TikToks?
Oh, that's a good question. I think for me, it's about making it relevant. So I try to figure out a way to connect that historical moment to the present and hopefully give people a way to build a better future. It also helps to do some cool animations here and there to tell the story in a really engaging way. I think I fell in love with history because I had teachers who were really animated and really passionate about it. And so I just try to bring that passion to my content as well.
And it sounds like you had a grandmother who told you a lot of great history
my goodness.
herself, man.
Thank you to my Nana. She's amazing and told me some incredible stories. So I'm always thankful for her.
Well, we're glad you're sharing them in your book. We're glad you wrote this book about Juneteenth, man. And a kid's book about Juneteenth is available now. Garrison, we appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you.
We are still enjoying it.
Yes, we are.
So delicious. Thank you. Before we go, big congratulations to our GMA publicity director, Brooks Lancaster, and his husband, Matt. They are dads. Welcome to the world, baby Ashton. Adorable.
Congratulations.
Congratulations, guys. Have a great day, everyone.